That's right. Donkey channels and Ichimoku. Chris, you spotted it, and Rocket Crop Flash with a big heart as well, of course. Lots of folks will have known that one as well. Lots of folks will have. Right, so essentially, I think that when you've got a couple of different indicators on the go, it can get a bit confusing, can't it? So what we've got here are the white candles to make it nice and clean on the old eyeballs. That's right. Those are the things that go in your head here that let you see stuff. And we have three things happening for us on the charts, right? Three things that we want to see happening, right? One of them is just this simple, obvious fact that we're in a trend that's made up with surrounded by these channels, as displayed by the green kind of line at the top here, which goes horizontal from time to time, and this green line down below. Darn, I really wish I had at some point in the last like 2 weeks remembered to turn on my Stream Deck and get my old zoomy in button thing working again, because that's always a good laugh. That would have been good for this. But anyway, you can see what I'm talking about, right? You can. However, how does this thing work, and what are the implications from it? And I can just show you back in time. Just by taking this kind of chunk over here and show you that, like, yes, if you were thinking to yourself at one point, but Rocky, those only really, it's not like these go into the future and show us what's going to happen in the future. They only kind of straddle around where the prices are now. That's so confusing. When you use the Ichimoku cloud, at least you get something that's off into the future telling you what's going on. But with this Donchin channels, you don't get any of that. You don't get any of that. And that, well, that's because this isn't showing you the future, right? It isn't drawing out something into the future to show you that. Instead, what we're going to do with this thing is we're just simply going to look at it and say that we've got extremes of prices marked out, because we can see here, as you see, that the wicks, when they come down to these areas, they just mark out the extremes of price for us. So the visual aid that this has given us at any given time is it shows us in the period of the last 26 bars what the visual high and the visual low, what the actual peak, high, and low was in any of those time frames. That's what that's doing for us. Now, it's not operating in really any other way, or visually or anything else than that. Okay, and then for the purposes of thinking about these other two lines, what are they? What are these other two lines? Because this is the Ichimoku cloud components, and what are they from the Ichimoku cloud? Just think of these two lines as being moving averages, right? Moving averages of a sort. Now, this middle line here, we'll just call this the midway. It's midway moving average, and I could have used either component of the Donchin channels or the Ichimoku cloud to make this, because the basis line of the Donchin channels, when set to this period, is the same line as extracted from the Ichimoku cloud, which of course is still visible here in the charts. I'm just using the Ichimoku cloud to make that point here, when of course I could be using either. And then you've got the conversion line, and for all intents and purposes as well, what we're going to think of this as being is a moving average, which is a shorter period moving average. It's a shorter period moving average than this other one, which is a moving average as well. And this moving average is always going to show us roughly where the middle of things has been. The middle of what? Well, the middle of the extreme highs and lows over the last 26 periods. And then we're going to adopt our thinking with regards to this, with and how we're going to interact with this, and what it's going to be telling us at any given time during this period here of the show, as we look towards when a couple of different things happen. One of which is when this area, which is the lower part of the box, which as it goes along, you've got the lower part here. So you've got this lower part doing this sort of thing where it goes down and down and down. What we're going to look for is the wicks that come down, pushing this lower, so we get to see where this is coming in, like we saw up here. Okay, we're going to look for those wicks coming in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look after prices have, if they form a wick. Of course, it could be just simply that a body pushes the whole way down through this. I'm not, precluding that by saying this. But after we've seen the period of time at which we've seen some sort of response at that, then what we'll do is we'll look and see when we get a body close, right? A body closure, which is below this line. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Are you following with me? Let me know if you're following along here. That's what we're doing. And at any given time as well, we're going to look to the green line and say, is the price operating between it and the lower end of the Donchin channels, with regards to its range, or is it operating above it and the orangey line with regards to where it is, or is it operating above the orangey line and indeed is the green line itself, you know, above the orangey line and so forth, right? All these things. We're going to look at the slope of these things. Now, we're going to bear in mind, of course, that this is going to have a lot of periods of extended horizontal looking action here. So we're going to be bearing in mind that while the slope on this will change from time to time in a sense, it's about the aggregate as opposed to any given snapshot. This is coming from my daughter, Addison. How cool is that? How cool is this, right? This is cool. How cool is this? This is coming from my daughter, Addison. She giggles when you're on. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, Addison. Keep on giggling. We love it. We love to hear that. So cool. Excellent. Brightening up everybody's day. And I can see that people here are following along, right? Sarah's following, Weezer's following, everybody's following along. Yes, sir. Everybody's following along. Excellent. So that's what we're going to just keep doing here for just now. So we're going to look at these two things with regards to the positions of each other and the of course where the price action itself then is in relation to them as well. So you're going to be keeping an eye out for the candle, where the candles are with relationship to the green line, the orange line, you know, the top end of this one, etc. And you're going to keep an eye out for this as well, this kind of feature of the candles pushing down below those areas, right? Just as we go through this process just here. And I'll just make it so it updates one candle every second and hit the play button on this, and we can just see if we understand those little components just there, if we can learn anything from just watching this happen as we go along. Now, this could have been any chart that I was doing this on, of course, as well, because it's the sort of the rules that we've kind of laid out here. We're going to just see how this works on this chart, but we could be doing this on anything. I've identified a framework, and we're just going to see how that framework, now that we have it there, informs us as we watch the charts do their thing. See if we can learn anything from it. Whoops, sorry. That's no good, is it? I've just taken it off the screen. That's not going to help anybody. Rocky, come on. Right, so we'll just keep on letting it do its trick. Oh, there's a bit there. So, yeah. And suppose over time you'll see the Rocky Outcrop flash come up and being fulfilled or whatever as well as we go along with this historical look back. You can see that we've pushed up wicks there above those previous highs, but in terms of body closes, we've not actually managed to achieve one as it stands just here in this current phase. Green lines up above the orange line, prices not really sustaining themselves for long periods of time, you know, above there, that smooth way. Come back down, crossed over again. We've got an area down below, put in a low. We've not actually closed the body there either. Things are a bit tight at the minute here. Looking to see then at this stage, you know, where we have between the range is identified by, of course, the upper and lower lines of this one. Oh, looks like we got a body that closed below that prior low one over there. It is obviously not super obvious because it is in the thing. All right, then again, we got one on the left as well. So we're still ranging. We've not really done anything to change this story as yet. Okay, up towards the top end there, right? Okay, pushing down a bit here. Not able to really close out any bodies below any of those previous ranges. Here it's happening. Now we've got something changing here. That was different, wasn't it, to before? Look, it took a wee while to us to see anything different there, but then something different definitely seemed to happen. So that was what that was then, right? Okay. This is happening again. We've got bodies that are coming in, but those wicks didn't actually close any lower. Just again, very volatile behavior in there. So we're looking to see, can we get bodies to close higher? We look back at the left, we see this body here. It opened up there. That was actually it's hard to tell with the white candles, but obviously that was an open. Didn't actually get any bodies to close up there any higher. That's tantamount to a wick. now we're seeing something again, right? And that brings us up to where we are now. Okay, that brings us up to where we are now. So if we kind of think about this in the past, looking back the way, when we're seeing the bodies closing down below these areas, it remains negative. We need to see bodies closing up above some of these areas where we are for now to kind of turn around the overall trend, as it were. Might need to see us taking out something like 136 if we wanted to really kind of do it now and actually close now, etc. But you know, like that's obviously an extreme ask, and you're instead kind of looking to see how things will pan out over the period of the next number of days, with and sort of next week and whatnot, with regards to these areas of support and resistance. What we have on this 1 hour time frame right now is a flash that's up above at 120. We know that that's a pivot area for us in the here and now. I identified it at the very start of the show. We know as well that that's where that green line is. Every time previously that we've been around here, we've been resisted by this green line. So if we were looking at this on this time frame, on this 1 hour time frame over the next wee while, and we saw the prices being able to move up above the green line and operate between the green line and the orange line, having closures up there, then we'd be doing something which is ever so slightly different to where we are without having necessarily massively radically changed the conditions. We've obviously pushed on lower than we have done previously, so now we need to kind of link up this sort of idea here, or forget about it for now. We can see then over here with the oscillators, right? Sound. So things have been negative, and until such times as they're showing us something different, then they remain negative. Okay. So we're looking for this to turn around. So on the 15-minute time frame, can we kind of do the same sort of idea? And yes, we can. We look back the way, you can see that we weren't really able to get those body closures higher. There was one there, kind of looked like maybe it could do something, but didn't work out. It's immediately back again with the lower ones, then the failure to go higher. What this is doing for us is it's identifying and making it visually mandatory for us as we're looking at the prices movement here to assess the trend, because we've added this to our charts ourselves, and what we're really doing is just putting a couple of extra little kind of conditions around it to allow ourselves to be able to say, yes, this is trending and it is broken past an area, and I will then assess this from that point of view, using that lens to look at this, to look through this microscope at the markets in this way. Then I'm looking for these conditions to happen to know whether or not I'm right or wrong. That's what we're doing there, and visually, component-wise, that helps. With regards to the these other lines, it gives us a very good idea as to where we stand with relationship to both those highs and lows. It's easy for it to be kind of maybe perhaps overwhelmed, or to look past the fact that we've been pushing into these lower lows, as if to not be able to see the impact that it would have to go higher. You know, when you're caught so much in the blizzard that you can't even think of being warm again. Well, when the reality is that if we were to have upward trend in price action and to get follow through with that, then it would be the same way in which this looks so negative would look so positive. But how do we get over that hill? Well, we can hear the sound of the bells ringing on the cows over the other side of that hill, but how do we actually get there? Is it the case that we run right up, or will we encounter a bacon tree? So we need to be careful. This here and this here give us a nice kind of thing that doctors use to listen to heartbeats on the stethoscope on the prices there, and that's what we're using it for. That's it. There's like no magic here. There's nothing here which is incredibly, you know, complex. I'm using simple things to show a simple concept fairly rigorously. We have a target written in there on the charts. It is visible for us. Here's the 15-minute Bitcoin price. It is Bitcoin versus US dollars. And if we look back, if we look back over a period of time, just coming in here and pushing in lower and lower and lower, and these areas where we're taking out the previous lows, etc., and it seems kind of fairly distinct. the wrap around here is not connecting up, which is obviously visually obvious to us. So I can put it onto something else where we get maybe more kind of where it's like the 4 hour time frame, where it becomes maybe perhaps a little bit clearer in terms of pushing down past areas whenever you're going in for lows, etc. And this is just one of the components of these are just the components of what is an on-pain indicator. Price is king. Price is the alpha and omega of everything. It determines everything that you're doing, whether that's looking at an oscillator, which are formed off the back of price, whether that's looking at the candlesticks alone and using candlestick patterns, whether that's using the likes of the sort of classical patterns, the difference between sort of organs and tissue or whatever, if you like, of these things, and combining things together to look at the highs and lows, and or anything else, or indeed even when you kind of try and do that, extend it out further by looking at things like options chains, etc., and everything else, you're still trying to figure out the price, right? Which is why Bazinga's kind of ultimately says it's that $100 to $190 range on GME, and it's obviously vast and not necessarily actionable. But there we have it. That's what that's for. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So does anybody did I don't know, was that helpful? Was that helpful for people?